Happy May 25th, Anthony. How you enjoying your post-birthday day?
364 days till I'm 58.
Woo!
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. That, of course, is Anthony Melchiori. I'm Glenn Hausman. So exciting to see everybody here today. Anthony, I'm switching things up a little bit. I'm in Minneapolis. I'm at our friends at Ideas, and they have a great studio here. So they set me up. So I'm able to have a little green screen magic, nice real studio, and real high-speed internet. So I'm very excited about that.
It seems like you're in your own house.
I know. Yeah, for some reason, the program that we use, I'm not able to do any of the more creative backgrounds here on this green screen, just the one that came standard with it. It was either this or brick wall. So I figured I'd go with this because Verbo this week put out an announcement about the top vacation homes, and I figured this felt vacation homey, so it's kind of the same kind of vibe.
Is Pink Floyd The Wall still on the top 10?
Definitely of all time.
It's not. I think #1 of all times.
I think that might be Dark Side of the Moon. I'm not sure which one.
Oh yeah, same thing.
I will tell you though, man. I took my kids last year to we have a planetarium on Long Island, the Vanderbilt Planetarium, and they had the Pink Floyd laser light show, the wall edition. So, it was Dark Side of the Moon. So I took them to see that, and it was still the same glorious laser light show I used to go to in the.
Dude, if you're not stoned and on meth, it's not the same.
I can't speak for my kids, but I was definitely like somewhere around Barstow. The trip kicked in. Well, it's great to see you.
It's great to be seen. So today we're going to have What's in the News and ask Anthony and Glenn questions. Yeah. We're going to ask each other questions.
That's right. I'm excited about it. I got a lot of good stories loaded up, but I do want to thank Ideas for allowing me to utilize their facilities here today. I'm looking forward to hanging out with them a little bit today. And tomorrow, I'm looking forward to broadcasting live from the Radisson Red in downtown Minneapolis. And I'd also like to thank the good folks at HSMAI Minneapolis for having me as their guest yesterday. And it was a lot of fun, Anthony, because I got to talk about all the big issues in hospitality and, share what we've learned here on the show in our 639 episodes.
Wow. And I want to point out that you're the hardest working man in podcasting because how many states you've been in 3 weeks? 2 weeks.
Mostly just Orlando and Vegas, but this is Minnesota, and then I live in New York. So
you really haven't been home for the last couple of weeks.
No, I'll tell you what, I got home super late Friday night. I had a situation. I think this goes to the larger issue, and it's a good segue to get into to travel stories that we have out there. I know I told you about this. I know some of my friends know about this, but I've been getting very frustrated with Delta Airlines at JFK specifically. When I go to Las Vegas, my bags are there the second I get off the plane pretty much. Most other cities great. Here at MSP was great, but JFK is a disaster. I don't know what's going on over there. For 5 trips in a row, man, we landed the plane. They didn't have a gate for us. We sat on the tarmac for like 45 minutes each time. Then you get to the gate. Then they don't have anybody to actually open the aircraft door. They have to call someone, find someone, all of that. And then this last time, man, it took from the time we touched down on the runway till I walked out of the airport with my bags over 3 hours, and there's nobody at the airport to help you, and it feels like nobody cares.
3 hours?
3 hours. I landed at 8:30, and they're like, we have an on-time arrival, and they were bragging about that, but I didn't get my bags. You couldn't get off the plane for an hour, and then 2 more hours to get bags. It was a complete and utter disaster.
Just like they couldn't find your bags or everybody?
No, it was everybody. It was like nobody.
So people get pissed.
Pissed because there's nobody there to diffuse the situation. And then you call on the phone, and they're like, if you don't have a flight in 72 hours, please call back. Wait time is 2.5 hours. That sort of a thing. Then you call the messaging thing, and they're like, we're having unusual volume. That kind of BS.
It's interesting. If Delta's having those kind of issues, imagine what the other airlines are going through.
I'm hearing the same stories from United and American. I was commiserating with some people today about these stories. And the thing that is super frustrating, which will bridge us into what we're seeing in hotels, is airline prices, at least the flights I'm taking with Delta, and anecdotally with people I'm speaking here with Delta and other airlines, the prices are soaring. I paid twice as much to get to Vegas for the trip I was at last week than the trip that I had booked 2 weeks prior. And the only difference was about a month delay in booking that trip. So
and that's what we've been talking about, right?
Yeah.
It's the price of goods are going up, gas is going up, everything's going up. People don't want these typical shift jobs, and the businesses are doing the best they can. If an airline like Delta that prides itself on great customer service and great employee service is having these kind of issues, what's around the corner for other businesses? I mean, we're in a real we're not even in transition where this is a problem that's going to be a new standard. And I think Delta will figure it out, but most businesses won't.
And again, I just want to say this seems to be a JFK issue. And I'm not even upset that I was delayed 3 hours as much as I'm upset about the lack of communication and the apparent lack of caring by the airline for their customers, which continues on and on and on.
Yeah.
I think most people, Anthony, right? When you have an issue, the service recovery can actually make you like it better if they handle it right. But by ignoring people,
I talk about it all the time. As a matter of fact, I look forward to when my team makes a mistake because I know we're going to recover and it's going to be a great story.
Right.
But we have to look on the other side. How friggin' tired are these people? In the airlines and the flight attendants and the guys on the, it's just how exhausted it's everybody with everything else they're dealing with. No excuses. If you're going to charge and you're going to say we're going to do the right thing, then you got to do the right thing. With that said, I have a feeling that Delta will handle the problems at JFK one way or another.
I hope so.
And you're going to start seeing either less flights from Delta into JFK, or they're going to do something where they always play. They like to win, right? The Win Hotel. They play the long game.
That's right.
They play the long game. So I think they're probably going to do something to ensure that they don't lose you as a customer. Because if they lose someone like you or me, they're going out of business. Because I'm blindly loyal to them.
That's right.
They make me wait, whatever, and it takes a while. Like 3 hours to get out of the airport. Like a couple of times would be my breaking point. I was delayed 36 hours and the lady looked at me like she didn't care.
Right.
That was like, okay, that's one. I've had a couple strikes against you guys.
Yeah.
That's one big one.
Right.
Like two more, and I'm going to be thinking about where else can I go.
Yeah, I will say, now I left out of LaGuardia to come here to Minneapolis. It's just more convenient. And the flight was delayed because the pilot hadn't landed yet, but it was okay. It was only 30 minutes. And the difference was clear communication that set expectations. And they apologized. They said exactly what the deal was, and then they followed through on it. So no harm, no foul there. Things happen, so that was okay.
One of the things I just posted a video, and my friend, I know you don't have TikTok, but I think it's about time to get TikTok.
I gotta get it. I know.
Yeah, so you can see my 800,000 viewed viral video. But I put up a video yesterday that about what's the secret. I think you were in the room when I did the video.
I was.
What's the secret, or what's the one thing that you find in every hotel, every business? What's the one common denominator? And it's pride. And right now, Delta and JFK and all, it's hard to keep that pride going.
Right.
It's hard to inspire people when people are that tired, when people are that overworked. And listen, I am very fortunate that when I'm traveling, I don't see the nonsense you see on TikTok and on social media. I don't see people punching each other, screaming at each other. Right. I would say 99% of the people are very respectful. Right. But 1% of all those people traveling is too much. And it's probably more than 1%. It's probably like 10%.
Right.
So everybody's exhausted. And I think that is not an excuse, but it is a explanation.
It is. I agree. Now let's flip it over to the hotels, Anthony, for what we're seeing. So we are seeing since summer of 2019, hotel rates right now, according to according to various sources online that follow this type of stuff, is up over 19% in rates. Additionally, just before we went on air, I got a press release from STR. The U.S. hotel industry in April, compared to previous months, all-time high room rates. Average daily rates at $149.90, a 14% increase. RevPAR up 10.2% to $98.20, and occupancy was at 65.3%, which is actually 3.3% less than April 2019.
Hold on. Let's back up. You're saying the average room rate is what in America? What is it?
The United States. The U.S. hotel industry reported higher performance in April, as well as all-time high room rates.
Right.
Says
And what's the average room rate?
$149.90 was the ADR.
That seems a little high. I mean, like that seems like I know it's higher, 14% high, but that seems like abnormally high.
Well,
like,
we're talking from April 2019 because they weren't counting 20 and 21.
Okay. All right.
It's a 3-year thing, right? So
yeah, okay.
But
yeah, it makes sense, and I think you're going to see. If you write this down and come back to me on this day next year, I don't think that rate's going to be higher than it was this year. I think it's going to be lower. Well,
this is interesting because you and I, we speak a lot about the inability for hotels to actually make money because the cost of goods and services are soaring so much. So according to this, when adjusted for inflation, April ADR was actually only 0.7% higher than 2019. So if you take out that inflation thing, it's really hard still, I guess, for hoteliers to push rates, even though it appears to the consumer that rates are soaring.
Right. And also, their bottom line, you have to watch it because the employees, yes, we have less employees and we're not doing as much housekeeping. So I would imagine that a lot of hotels are actually making more money. But I think, again, next year, I think you're going to have I think there's going to be major concerns. Listen, we're living through a economic, like in 2008 was like crash, burn, back.
Right.
I don't think this is a crash, burn, back. I think this is more of a crash, burn. Oh, this is going to be different.
Right.
And I don't know what that looks like. I'm not smart enough.
I think, again, I'm not smart enough here, but I think some of it was after the Great Recession in 2008. That's when interest rates went down to essentially zero for the big banks and stuff like that. And I do believe, based on what I've seen, that the Fed had kept the rates artificially low, which propped up the economy for a really long time. And now that the interest rates are going very, very quickly upwards, it's really having a quick deleterious effect to the economy, which probably should have been spread out over the last 4 or 5 years.
Absolutely. And I think you're reading a lot of that in the Wall Street Journal, and you're reading that everywhere, that they're overcorrecting. They're not overcorrecting. They're correcting too late, which seems like an overcorrection.
Right. Yes, exactly. Okay. So in this whole vein, with prices going up, also the AHLA just this morning released that Americans are reporting that gas prices and inflation are impacting travel decisions much more so than they are worried about COVID-19 anymore. So some interesting things to take away from this. 68%, I should say that this was released this morning. The survey was done May 18th to 22. So this is pretty fresh information. 68% of Americans agree they have a greater appreciation for travel now because of what they missed during COVID. And 57% are planning a family vacation this summer, a majority of which plan to stay in a hotel. And 25% are likely to travel this coming weekend for Memorial Day, 32% for 4th of July, 27% for Labor Day. I got more statistics, particularly on gas, but I thought I'd get your comments here on that.
Yeah, I listen, I think people are going to travel. I think it's going to be a really good summer, and I think it's going to be a tough September. Yeah. I think when I go to the pump and I see that I filled up my daughter's car for $100, I'm like, oh my God, that it's not so much the $100, although that is very expensive. And I have 3 cars, and I'm telling my daughter, do you really have to drive right now? Walk.
Right.
But it starts to make you think, well, then I'm paying $100 more at the grocery store. Then I'm paying $100 more for this. I'm paying a surcharge on Amazon, and Netflix rate went up, and it's just on and on and on and on. And but I think this summer is pretty safe for hotels. I think you're going to see a big uptake. And it's interesting what you said about COVID.
Yeah,
I am seeing myself around with friends and family and businesses that, oh, that person got COVID. Okay,
Right.
they're home. Like
Mhm.
nobody's shutting down, nobody's nothing. Like everybody's just kind of doing their thing, and it's like, all right, they got a cold. All right, we're moving on. It's whereas before we shut down the whole economy,
Right.
we shut down everything. Which again, in retrospect, the first month,
Yeah.
yes, it's understandable. But now it's like, okay,
Right.
listen, you get a cold, you stay home. You get COVID, you stay home.
Yeah.
And nobody's calling COVID. No
No.
allergies. I got allergies.
Hey, I think that one struck a little close to home there,
Oh,
Anthony.
you know what? I actually wasn't thinking about you, but yeah, you had allergies. As you're coughing in my face, you're like, I got allergies.
Hey, I tested negative a lot, so it's all good. But listen, so these gas prices are soaring. We just saw Craig said he's paying $6 a gallon in Newport Beach, but 90% of people in this AHLA survey are saying that gas prices are a consideration in deciding whether to travel during the next 3 months, with 50% saying it's a major consideration, 23% saying moderate consideration, and 17% saying slight. Now, 82% are also saying gas prices will have at least some impact on their travel destinations. I'm going to say, Anthony, I still contend that gas prices won't keep people home as much as instead of driving 3 gas tanks away, maybe they'll do 1.5, and we'll see people just kind of sticking closer to home. Maybe. What do you see?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, listen, people got to make decisions with their pocketbook.
Yep.
And, if you're in a position where you're going to take 3, I was going to take a really big vacation. I decided this summer I'm not taking that big vacation because
Right.
why would I spend that kind of money for mediocre service and delays?
Right.
And I have zero patience when I'm with my family traveling. When I'm with myself, you can drop the plane on my head. I'm like, whatever. But you 1 second with my kids inconvenience or my wife, I'm like freaking out. So people are going to make decisions with their pocketbook. This summer is going to be one of the best summers ever. People are still not only they're not as pent up as they were maybe even 6 months ago, a year ago.
Right. Mm-hmm.
People are more fed up than pent up.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to go on vacation.
Oh, I completely agree with that. And I do think that the United States is going to continue to do well with travel based on, anecdotally what we've been seeing and experiencing out there, but also a new survey from Morning Consult for the U.S. Travel Association found inbound pre-departure testing requirements is having a devastating impact on travelers' likelihood of coming here to the United States. And for folks in the United States are unlikely to go to other places as well because of the testing requirements. We've always talked a lot here about that hassle factor, right?
Yeah, and somebody just went to Canada. Was it you? Somebody just went to Canada.
That was last September. I was
but somebody recently
right.
that I know just said I have to get a test. I'm going to Canada, and yeah, it's a hassle, which is it's bad, but it keeps people in America and it keeps our economy going. But globally, I'm more concerned when I say 2008 was bad. I think this is going to be worse because globally, I think people between the war and between the interest rates and between economies, like if you look at China, which it hasn't been shaken out yet from China. Shanghai's been down. Everybody's been down. Like it's a problem. And if that economy starts to have a really long recession, we are going to be hurt a lot worse than we were in 2008.
That's right. And even though we, over the last 5 years, we've shifted more towards thinking about solely America, we're still, I think, in a global economy. And
listen, it's to say that, like China, of course, is part of the global economy, but China is in our house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, China literally is in our house. They give us chips for our cars. They give us pharmaceuticals. So it's more about, it's not, well, the global economy is having problems. Like if China has a problem, then the family has a problem.
Right.
And we built everything we said we weren't going to do in the 80s and 90s and 2000s. And now we not only did it, we tripled down. We borrowed more money. We bought more stuff, cheap stuff. We didn't buy stuff from our friends in Illinois or New York, or we bought it from our friends in China, and because it was cheaper. But now they're having problems because it's not cheaper anymore because of what it costs to ship over here, and we don't want to pay those shipping. So listen, I'm not an economist, and I know enough to be dangerous, but you don't depend on your enemy for your survival.
Right.
That doesn't seem to be very smart.
No, but I do think if you go back to when Nixon went and China started to open up, I think the whole idea was to bring our economies together in order to create more peaceful relations. Don't know if that's working out, but I think that was the goal.
How can it be working out? I mean, they're listen, we're pretending they're not our enemy. They're our enemy.
Right.
I hate to say it, but they are.
Yeah.
Why don't you think anything's happening? Have you heard anything about China saying anything against Russia with Ukraine, or have you heard?
No, they're helping. I think they're helping support Russia. Yeah.
Right. That's a problem.
I'm not saying that China's our friends. I'm just telling you what the hope was.
Right. Well,
when,
just as long as you don't mistake me for you being your friend.
I will.
So this is a part of the show. I asked that question, and I asked you, Glenn.
Yeah.
What is the most underused punctuation, and what is the most overused punctuation?
Well, I'm guilty overused for the exclamation point. I'm all in. I'm doing 2, 3 with every sentence. It seems like it. And I think we need to show a little bit more respect for the semicolon. We don't get that enough.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Back to our scheduled programming.
All right. So, again, a lot of interesting things happening in hospitality. And one of the issues that you and I have been trying to wrap our brains around is the whole idea of non-fungible tokens, NFTs. And we're seeing brands start to focus on that. And one of the interesting things reported in the Wall Street Journal yesterday was that a particular hotel, Casa de Campo, Casa de Campo, which is the Dominican Republic, is going to be using NFTs now when you get a hotel room. So the reason why this is relevant is because they're trying to do what Ticketmaster has done with StubHub. So if you cancel your reservation, too bad, it's still your reservation. Now it's up to you to sell that room on a third-party site that they've partnered with. So how do you feel about if you can't cancel a reservation now within 24 to 48 hours, you're responsible for putting it on a third-party marketplace and trying to sell it that way?
Well, most hotels have 24-hour cancellation policy, right?
Right.
So if you're within 24 hours,
this is not going to do that anymore.
They're going to say there's no cancellation, 100% non-cancelable.
That's right, because they're switching to this NFT thing, and then you're responsible for selling it on your own through a startup called Pink Tata.
Right. This seems to me that eventually it would almost be like airline charging for luggage. It almost seems like it's an inevitable thing, but I think it's going to be a long time to get to be really popular. And it's good and it's bad because you can sell a room for $600, maybe you pay $200 years ago. The problem is now what you're going to have is you're going to have people buying hotel rooms.
Yeah.
And knowing during Christmas, it's busy in New York.
That's right.
And they're going to upsell it for $1,200.
Yeah.
So that's, I think the brands will ban that.
I think that's an interesting point. I hadn't really considered that, but you're right. And honestly, I think you look at Ticketmaster and StubHub and stuff like that. And when, I was annoyed this summer buying fish tickets for Jones Beach because as I was trying to buy them when they went on sale, the prices started to go up and up and up because they're doing yield management now as well. So I finally got those tickets. And when you sell them on StubHub or something, if I can't go or whatever, it's a very small, limited audience, say 15,000 at Jones Beach Amphitheater on Long Island, for example. However, with 47,000 plus hotels in the United States, if one hotel tries to play these shenanigans, I could go to 200 hotels within the metropolitan area and not have to deal with that. So I'm not necessarily sure on first blush thinking about this that it's going to have as much and as quick of success as it has.
No, it will not. And every business is based on P&L. It makes no financial sense. If you cancel my reservation, I can rebook that if I'm a hotel, right? Typically I'm going to rebook that hotel room.
Right.
Okay. If you cancel within 24 hours, I'm probably going to book it for more if business is good.
Right.
If it's not, then, that makes sense. profitability standpoint, it's like, well, they're on their own, right?
Yep.
But 99% of the time, that's not going to be a profitable decision for the hotel. It's better to take the cancellation than give it to the customer to sell it at a higher rate, because I'm going to lose money because you're selling a room that I can resell.
Right. I don't know. The whole thing. I listen, maybe it's because, I'm of age where I could join AARP, but I don't necessarily get all this NFT stuff that's going on over there.
Oh, no, I think, listen, with NFTs, with Bitcoin, whatever, I am 100% open-minded.
Yep.
I don't get involved with things I don't understand, and I don't understand it. And when I understand it more and better, and I appreciate what it is, and I can make a educated risk decision, I will get involved. I guarantee I will. But I don't know enough to make a calculated risk decision.
Right. Yeah. It makes sense. Quick congratulations to two Jeffs, Jeff Bezodka and Jeff Edwards, who are being inducted into the Hospitality Technology Hall of Fame during High Tech this summer. Two great guys. So I just wanted to show them a little love for just being, amazing people that have been around for decades doing great things in our industry. So it's really great to see Jeff and Jeff getting inducted.
So this is the part of the show where I ask you a question.
All right.
Fiction or nonfiction?
Okay. Nonfiction for me.
Okay.
I used to be big into fiction growing up. I like digest Stephen King novels and all those kinds of things. But once I got past college, I started to love facts a lot more and learning through nonfiction. How about you?
100%.
Yeah.
Audio books or regular books?
Yeah, I think it happened for me at the same time that I started to lose touch with popular music and I started listening to talk radio a lot more. I think it's all that same kind of world.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What is the best thing you ever wrote?
The best thing I ever wrote? Typically, I always felt like it was the last thing I wrote until I looked back at it a few months later and decided it was crap.
But what's the one thing that you wrote that you still wow, that was good. That flowed. That's the standard.
Honestly, I can't think of anything. Maybe the Adapters book, Dr. Producer Suzanne is saying, yes, Suzanne, buy now. Amazon.com, written by myself and Sean Worker.
Talking about the Adapters book, what's the one thing in the Adapters book that you use? One quote, one lesson that you use or you think about?
I think it's just more an overarching theme of always reevaluating constantly, right? I think people have a tendency to get into habits and patterns and don't look at those habits and patterns to change. But I think it's really important every once in a while to take a wholesale look at every single thing you do in your life and think about whether or not it is the best way to be doing those things. That's the real takeaway that I have. Reevaluating things, moving forward. How about you? What are some of I know not in the book.
I don't remember everything about the book, but
right. What are some of the things that you focus on when you're thinking about adapting and innovating in your career and your personal life?
Don't believe the press.
Yeah.
Don't believe the 800,000 viral likes. Don't believe the things that people write about you. Believe them. I should say it differently. Believe them, but don't focus on them.
Right.
It's, when I get an award, like we got an award, I put it on the shelf and I'm like, that's really beautiful. That's wonderful. I appreciate it. And I'm proud of myself and I'm proud of any accomplishments I've had. So 100%. But I don't like looking at a plaque. I don't like looking at an award. I don't like looking. Do you know that I have zero things from the road? I don't buy sweatshirts anymore. I used to.
I don't. Yeah, I got nothing.
I don't bring key cards home. Yep. I take every single luggage tag off and throw it away. My luggage comes in my house. I put it near the front door. I go say hello to everybody. I take my luggage. I unpack everything. I put things in, the dry cleaning bag and the regular bag. I take my suitcase. I put it in the garage. I put my clothes away. I take a shower, and within 20 minutes. My travel did not exist.
Wow.
So I can't see nothing. So I am very much the person's every day is a blank slate.
Yep.
And every day I have to earn everything that I do.
Mhm.
And, you know, like this morning I worked out and I had to earn the right to my, you know, disco biscuit, which is full of oats and chocolate.
Yeah.
So I just like, I feel like I have to earn it every single day. But don't get me wrong, I get in all the same cycles everybody else gets in. I get in all the same, you know, like whatever. What everybody goes through, I go through too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. So number one, Disco Biscuits, good band. Go check them out. Number two, I don't know how you manage to come in and do your suitcase thing. I usually leave it there for a while. Sometimes it goes on and it just sits there in the room mocking me because I can't get anything done. You know, I think this last trip, well, the last trip was a little different because I was home for 2 days. I basically got home, left it overnight, went through everything in the laundry, washed everything, and put it all back in the suitcase. But sometimes I'll let it sit 2, 3, 4 days because I get caught up in other stuff.
It just reminds me of where I was, and I don't want to be reminded where I was. I want to know where I'm going. And so it's and plus I'm OCD, so I just can't have that over
Right.
my head. I like clean. I like it like do it, move on, do it, move on. I just had a couple, 3 things I had to do for my business that I was kind of holding on, and I just finished it, and I was just like, oh, I just feel much better. So I just next time I have to do it quicker. So, what's your favorite color?
Purple.
Okay, what bothers you more? Someone that honks the horn too quickly in New York City, which is, as we know, is less than 1/100 of 1/10 of 1 second,
That's right.
or bad drivers in other states.
All right. I will say bad drivers in other states. I have no capacity to handle that. At least with the, you know, when the light turns and the guy's honking, the second the light turns, I'd be like, come on, and throw out a good New York FU or something like that. Right. And then I move on with my life. But bad drivers in other states, that is an unpredictability factor that I do not like to deal with. I find it too stressful. I find it very anxiety provoking because you never know who's going to do what. Plus, I'm unfamiliar with the road, so it makes it.
Right, you know, like in New York, it's like everybody's a bad driver, so you just we all got the rhythm,
right? Yeah.
You know, the cab driver's going to cut you off, so you see him in your your mirror, so you're anticipating it.
It's so funny. You're right about that. I'm like, that guy over there is going to do something really a-holy in about 30 seconds, and then
right. So I remember driving in Canada.
Yeah.
And I remember I had to make a U-turn.
All right.
And I was lost. And I was going to set. It was my movie. And I was making a U-turn.
Right.
There were people on each corner. There were 4 corners. And I didn't make a crazy U-turn. I just made a slow, nobody in the streets, no cars U-turn. So I made the U-turn, and there were people on each corner, and they all pointed to me. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" It's I can't deal with that.
That's hysterical.
Okay.
So I do want to hear about last night. How was your home cooked meal? How was your softball game? How did that all go?
So chicken parmesan and fazoli's,
Nice.
delicious. But my daughters bought me presents. One of my daughters, I have them right here. Bought me for Christmas these slippers, right?
Yep. Are those the ones that got nice fur in the inside?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she bought me those slippers, and yesterday she bought me these slippers. And she goes, "Dad, these are your winter slippers." Your summer slippers.
I love it. I can see you wearing those out by the pool.
Yeah, of course. I just had them on by the pool. And so I appreciate that. But I said to them, I said, "I don't care if you get me presents. I want a little bit of a card from each one of you. That's all I want."
Yeah.
And they got one card. Cheap bastards.
Well, to be fair, the price of cards these days are like $8 or $9. I'm like,
but they each wrote a little something, and it was like very powerful. And it's actually something I'm gonna, I took a picture of it. I'm gonna keep it on my phone, and I'm gonna read it. I've read it 3 times already. Because the things in the what they wrote were what you hope your kids get from you when you're dead.
Right. That's awesome.
And so that was one of it. And then I played softball.
Right.
Now, remember, I used to play softball, and I was a second baseman or an outfielder, and I would bat maybe sometimes lead off, sometimes 5th or 6th, sometimes 2nd, but I was always in the mix. Last night, I'm playing catcher in softball, and I'm batting 10th. So I'm like, okay, I got to get up and I got to start hitting because last season I didn't hit that well.
Right.
So I got to start hitting so I can get myself out of 10th place hitting. So what do? Swing at the first ball and I ground into a double play.
Ouch.
That I couldn't even run out in softball double play, and I'm fast. It pissed me off. Then I was like, all right, that's it. I'm gonna do it this time. And then again, double play ball. I ran it out, and they didn't get me out. But I was like, I suck. I just suck. And so my team won 14-3, and I contributed 0.
Well, that you know, at least you held the score down for the other team's lack of embarrassment, right? That was only 14-3.
But thank you for asking. And plus, my day got away from me yesterday. I got I usually have a pretty scheduled out day, but like yesterday was like every hour I had a meeting that I had it down, but mentally because it was my birthday, I thought I had the day off.
You ever have so much to do that when you actually try to think of what you have to do, it feels like you have nothing to do, and you've tricked yourself to thinking you got nothing, right?
Yeah. Well, I am extremely good at having 100 times more things to do than most people.
Right.
I am extremely bad at when I have a normal amount of things to do.
Yeah.
Because when I have a normal amount of things to do, I just zone out and I'm like, oh, I have 3 hours. So my 3 hours turns into, oh, I have 4 hours. Oh no, I only have 3 hours. And I'm realizing as I get older, I may have told you, I told somebody, I have more energy and I'm more ready to conquer the world than I was when I was 18.
That's amazing.
I feel stronger and more powerful and more focused and more, I know what I need to accomplish and what I will accomplish. And I feel more powerful than ever.
That's amazing. I am the opposite.
Let's talk about that, Glenn.
No, I've got a better question for you, my friend. I mean, you're Italian. We know of Italian heritage.
I'm Italian.
You mentioned you had fusilli pasta yesterday, right?
Yes.
I like fusilli pasta because it really holds on to the sauce because of its spirally nature.
Yes.
What is your favorite pasta if you have one? And conversely, it is fusilli. I don't say. Do you have different pastas that you like for different situations, or it's fusilli?
Well, I like angel hair.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm like really not that hungry,
right,
and I'm having some fish.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Totally, man. I like a little angel hair with like some shrimp on it, or something.
Yeah, a little angel hair. I like that. The pasta I hate, more than any human being should hate any food.
This clip's gonna go viral. Go on.
It's gnocchi.
Really, you don't like gnocchi?
Gnocchi. Oh, I hate it.
Really,
I hate thick
on
food.
Saturday.
I hate thick food. I've had it a couple times where I was in a fancy restaurant and they said, "Oh, it's on the special," and I said, "Let me try it," and it's good. But if I do not like it.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I know it's a pasta, but being that it comes from potatoes and stuff like that, if it's not done right, it could be thick.
I don't like thick. I don't like.
It's got to be airy and light, and I don't really come into that too much.
Yeah, in the better restaurants, they do it well.
I did have a good gnocchi on Saturday. It was my mom's birthday. We took her out to dinner. But get this. This is something that pissed me off.
I don't appreciate you pointing at me.
I'm not pointing at you. I'm pointing at the restaurant, who I'm not going to name because I don't want to shame them. But the bill comes. It was a good amount of money. No big deal. It was my mom's birthday. She was worth it.
How many people?
5 people. The price doesn't really matter.
No, but I just want off air. I'm going to guess.
All right. So it was fine. The bill comes. I look at it. Everything is absolutely correct on the bill. I give them my credit card. They go. They come back. I sign the check. And then I look. And there's another line on there that wasn't there before I handed them my credit card that said card fee of $9 and change. They didn't disclose it. They didn't say anything about it. They tried to pull a fast one on me. And I called them out on it. And they wound up paying me back in cash, that difference there. But I thought that was absolute BS. The meal was delicious. It was appropriately priced. But I can't go back there again because of that. How dare they try to trick me?
Who did it?
I gave the server. I gave the server my credit card. Came back, there was a different amount on it than I had given them the credit card for, with that fee on there, as if it was a drink or something.
They would have got away with it with me, and that's unacceptable.
Yeah, unacceptable. And because of that, I'm not going to go back. Now, to be clear, if you are going to have that credit card fee, if you had said something ahead of time, fine.
And it gives you an opportunity to pay cash.
That's right. That's right. So I was really offended by that. Now I can't go back to this restaurant. I hate having to be.
And was it a regular credit card or was it a debit card?
No, it was an Amex card.
Okay.
And Amex, I know, charges a little bit more. So I'm wondering if that had something to do with it. But
yeah, listen, all expenses are up. But like you said, just let me know.
Yeah. Yep.
And then you would probably be a little like, hey, can you take it off? That's ridiculous, whatever.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
You probably would have went back.
Yeah. Right.
Right. So even if they charge you, you probably would have went back. But listen, you don't want to get screwed over when you're paying a good amount of money for a meal.
Yeah.
And when you really look at a restaurant and like you just ate something and now it's going to be gone forever and you just paid $400, $500 or whatever you paid. And you're just like, I spent all this money on something I'm going to forget about 20 minutes from now.
Right. So true.
But it's but I completely agree with you. What was your first car?
My first car was a hand-me-down from my parents, an Oldsmobile Delta 88.
Oh, I love those. What color?
It was huge. We called it the Love Boat. I think it was a beigeish type of a color.
Oh, Delta 88 was it, man.
It was huge. And the car was so old, it literally had holes in the floor where you could see the street underneath you and stuff like that.
Oh my God. I think Suzanne, you have a Delta 88 coming up anytime soon?
And I was driving down to the University of Maryland, and I was on the what's the name of the highway on Staten Island? It was right by the first Arthur Kill Road.
Highland Boulevard?
I know it was a big highway. I'm totally blanking on the name. Doesn't really matter. Not germane to the story. But something exploded in the engine, took out the whole engine and stuff like that. That got stuck. It was back in the 80s. So, or like 1990 or something like that. So we had to find a gas station, push the car there, and then call my dad, who had to come pick us up and take us all the way down there. My next car, all new, was a Saturn, which I absolutely loved when they had those.
Wow, a Saturn. I've never even shot in a Saturn. My first car was a 1970 Nova, but my first real car, new car, was a red, candy apple red Sentra. You remember those little box square ones? Short ones?
Yep.
And I was in the Air Force, and I leased it, I think, for like $69 a month. And I was going to work at Embassy Suites in Overland Park, and I was sitting on DD Road. I was sitting on the light right near the Air Force Base, getting ready to go up, an hour drive to Kansas City, and my car started sputtering, like out of nowhere. There was no check engine light, no oil light, no anything, and the damn thing burst into flames.
Oh my goodness!
But the whole thing just burst into flames out of nowhere. And I'm sitting there going, what's going on? And like I see a little smoke or whatever. And I remember like this farmer guy with overalls screaming at me, get out of the car, get out of the car. And I was like, thank God I got out of the car.
Yeah, no doubt. Funny. Yeah, go on.
It went,
oh man. When I was coming out of JFK on the Belt Parkway, this is when I was at the Choice Hotels event a few weeks ago, just got back to JFK. There was a car on fire right on this side of the highway. I think I see one of those like every 6 months on the Belt Parkway.
The Belt Parkway, when I was a kid, Fridays and Saturday nights was crazy. You couldn't drive on the Belt Parkway. People would go nuts. Now on Fridays and Saturday nights, you shouldn't drive on the Belt Parkway on Friday and Saturday night.
Yeah.
It is zoom. Like constantly zoom, 100 miles an hour, 5 cars in a row. And it's matter of fact, I tell my children, it's like, I do not want to see on My Life 360 you moving on the Belt Parkway on a Friday, Saturday night. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is absolutely crazy. And for those of you who don't know the Belt Parkway, over the last 10 years, they've been trying to expand it a little bit, building new bridges and overpasses, but the lanes are smaller than any other highway. So if you go any more than 50 miles an hour or so, it really feels like you're going super fast because the cars on either side of you get really close. And then you got these drag racers all the time that are going in and out of traffic.
Yeah. And there's traffic right when you go through between Cross Bay Boulevard and the Arizona Bridge.
Yep.
There's this magical traffic that just happens for no reason, and then like as you're driving, it disappears.
Yeah,
And
that's
I figured out there's one or two things happening, or maybe two things happening.
right.
There's a curve and an elevation that you can barely see.
Right.
I don't know if that has anything to do with it,
I
but
think
there.
it does. It probably does. Because the same thing happens at, I think, exit 32 in the LIE, Douglaston Parkway. For some reason, it always slows up right around this one curve that goes over this bridge, and then it speeds up again. It's really, really bizarre.
Interesting. And you want to ask me what I learned this morning?
Anthony, I got one more question for you. What'd you learn this morning?
I was doing a Muay Thai kick, and my hip started to hurt.
Oh my
And
God.
I was like, I'm doing it. Like, why is my hip hurting? So I'm thinking my hip hurts.
Yeah.
And then my friend Vince said, when you throw it, remember you have to go on your tippy toes on your left foot.
Right.
And I did that, and all of a sudden my hip didn't hurt. And so life is like a Muay Thai kick. Sometimes you just make a small little change, and everything just feels better.
That's awesome. So speaking of Muay Thai kicks,
Muay Thai,
Muay Thai. Sorry. So yeah, I think so you have to get on the Joe Rogan show, Anthony, someday. What would be your controversial topic on that show?
First of all, I don't like controversial topics, and I've actually thought about that many, many times. What I would do on Joe Rogan show.
Yeah,
I would never want to be on Joe Rogan show. And ask me why, Glenn.
I was about to. Anthony, why? Are you concerned that you won't be able to take a bathroom break in the 3 hours you're on air?
No, you can take it.
I know. I see that all the time.
Because I like the show so much,
right,
that I don't think I would add anything to the show or really enjoy doing it because I would feel out of place. Because I like, this is weird. Like if I'm on Today's Show, all those TV shows I've been on, I've enjoyed it because it's about presenting me.
Right.
And it's about my show or my personality, and it's focused on me. Who doesn't like to be focused on them?
Right.
So, or I'm selling a show or whatever it is. So there's always something that I get out of it.
Right.
Being on the Joe Rogan show, I wouldn't want more fame. I don't want to be famous like that. I'm very comfortable with who I am. And I would be like a fraud because I don't want to really be there. Like I'm not selling anything. And it's like, I want to enjoy that. Like that's a show I want to enjoy. So I've thought about that many times. Now, if I got invited for it, I would do it, which I would never. But if I did, I would I wouldn't know what to talk about because I would just be, there's very few people that I'm just like Anthony Bourdain's one of those people.
Right.
Like I never wanted to meet him. Right. Respect him, love him. I don't want to meet you because like that's over there. And I want to appreciate you. Joe Rogan, I don't really want to hang out with him or even really meet him. I just want to watch him and say, wow, I can really learn something. I don't know if that's a weird answer, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, well, Mike disagrees with you. He said you'd be a phenomenal guest.
I'm not saying I wouldn't be a phenomenal guest. I'm not saying I wouldn't be a good guest. I would imagine I would be a good guest because I'd be petrified and I would focus on it.
Yeah.
So I'm not being humble. I'm just being, I don't know if I would enjoy it or really want to do it.
Right.
If I got invited to it, of course I would do it. It's the biggest thing in the world, and I would be so honored. And oh my God. Matter of fact, Bert Kreischer, who I know from my Travel Channel days, and I've been in his company more than a couple times, he's best friends with Joe Rogan. And I'm like just in awe of our relationship. But that's a real relationship.
I'm in awe that he doesn't wear a shirt most of the time and pulls it off.
Dude, this man, I have so much respect for him.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you, Tom, he pulled the shirt off in the middle of a dinner?
No.
We're at a dinner, a fancy dinner, and he has to leave. He had to catch a plane or something.
Right.
And our president at the time, very conservative woman, wonderful lady. She greenlit my shows, like a mentor to me. Wonderful. And so he was leaving, and he came over to the table. I think I was sitting at her table, and he said, "I gotta go." And he did the proper whatever, shake hand, kissed her on the cheek, whatever he did. And he goes, "Bert Kreischer, out," and takes his shirt off. And like I'm mortified and think that he would get fired for that, and he got more shows because of it.
Right.
I admire him so much. I admire Bert Kreischer so much because I know how much he struggled.
Yep.
And this man is making money, kicking ass, taking
Yep.
names his way. He walked away, he did what he does best.
Yep.
So again, another guy that I don't really need to be friends with, but I can admire him from afar. Like I like watching people and people that I admire, but I don't necessarily need
Yep.
to be like trying to compete with them or be in their space.
Yeah, totally. Totally. All right. So before we wrap up today, you mentioned Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan was on a show called News Radio.
Great show. One of the best shows ever.
One of the best shows ever. Phil Hartman, one of the best comedians ever. I'm still mourning the fact that he died the way he did. I love Maura Tierney, but I love Dave Foley because I was a big Kids in the Hall fan back in the late 80s, early 90s. They were a Canadian comic troupe that were discovered by Lorne Michaels of Saturday Night Live fame. They did a show on HBO for 4 or 5 years. They just came back with a brand new season of shows on Amazon Prime, bringing back all those great characters, and it's so good to see the Kids in the Hall back.
What show? What show? So Dave Foley's in what show?
Kids in the Hall. It's a comedy.
Oh
troupe.
wow! And he goes through those characters, the people, those actors,
Yep.
and how fond he was of them, and how much love he had for them. But he says he goes, "They're some of the best friends I've ever made, and they're some of the best people I've ever made, and so talented." But they were all so obsessed with fame,
Right?
And he was just like, "Do you know we have a TV show, right? You know, like we come and play every day, and we're on TV." Like,
Yep.
why is everybody so stressed out? Like,
Yep.
this is fun. And so Joe Rogan goes through some of those talks about some of those personalities and just has tremendous respect for his days on news radio. But that's when he started to realize like Hollywood is a weird place. And listen, with my taste of it, it's not so much for me. It is so normal. Like when I did it, it was intense, but it was like I didn't get screwed over. It was tough, and I had hard negotiations, and they did things that I didn't always agree with or that weren't really cool.
Right.
But when I was sitting at dinner with my friend Leo, man, and you just hear the nightmares and the stories and the things I lived through just by watching him. And it comes back to my favorite saying, Glenn.
Mm-hmm.
No one gives a shit.
Right.
And especially in Hollywood, like you're a consultant, you're a hired hand, you do your job, and you're responsible for everything else. And he is not in any way, shape, or form like he doesn't regret anything. Anything that's ever happened in my career and continues to happen in my career, I don't regret anything.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, I had a TV show. I have a TV show. I have a platform,
Awesome.
and that to me is the greatest thing in the world. You don't like when you go into it. When I was a little naive until somebody kicked it out of me.
Yeah.
That you think they're going to take care of you. They think they like you. They spend a lot of money to have you there. To produce you. And everybody brings you out to dinners, and they pet you on the head, and they give you commercials, and they get you ad sales, and everybody really, really likes you.
Yeah.
Until they don't.
That's right.
And it's not that they don't like you. They right now that we're not looking at that.
Right.
And but I think it is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me professionally.
You mean outside meeting me? I understand. Go on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But that's a ridiculous thing that you didn't even say that. But it's just like I can't explain it. It's like when I got my movie or it's like those are things you don't expect to happen in your life. And when they happen, you just appreciate it for the rest of your life. You never like look back on it and just say, oh, they should have did this or they should have did that. You're just like, wow, I'm so respectful and appreciative. And I think that's one of the reasons I like Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's like, I just got to keep moving.
Yep. All right. Last question before we wrap up. Daniel's saying, who's your favorite TV host? Now, I don't watch a lot of TV these days, but
you want me to give you the answer?
Yeah.
Anthony Mercury.
Yes, absolutely.
All right,
Top
who's
number
your
one.
second? Who's your
I would
second?
say number 2, I think you got to go classic Johnny Carson, because he really set the stage for a lot of the ways that TV hosts do things today. But my underground favorite, which I think really helped me form how I focus on podcasts and videos and all that, was, if you remember back in the late 80s, Bob Costas had a late talk show.
Love that show. Love
Right.
that show.
It was
Love
like
that show.
30 minutes, or sometimes it would be like all week. He'd talk to one guest for real in-depth conversations. And the dude was so smart. He always asked amazing questions. And you got into, it was before podcasts, and you really didn't get that at all.
I loved it. And then Brian Gumble tried to do something like that, and I don't like it. He seems too pompous.
No, but I do like the sports show that he has on.
Yeah,
HBO.
I don't like it. He gets in the way of it. But anyway, I agree with you. You know who I love the most?
Yeah.
Charles Carroll on Sunday mornings.
Oh yeah, he was great.
Oh, I loved watching him on Sunday mornings. It made me happy.
Yeah.
It made me feel like, I don't know. It just made me feel normal.
Right.
Like, it's just like, it made you cut out like what was going on in your life. And, I was young and all the stress. You just like, you wake up to ducks, and then you listen to him with his beautiful voice, and he brings you, somewhere in, Idaho, and he's on a farm, and
Right.
he's like, isn't this very interesting, animal? And then, like, whatever it was, he's just like, it was amazing. And then I had kids, and I never watched it again.
Yeah. Yep. That's what happens. Man, Anthony, this hour flew by. I can't believe it. So let's just say, hey, if you didn't listen to us and you want to watch us, check us out. Wait, if you're listening to us and you prefer to watch us, check us out on our LinkedIn pages, Anthony's Facebook fan page, my Facebook pages, No Vacancy pages, YouTube. Not that hard to find us on video. If you want to listen to us on audio, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, wherever you get your shows, we are. Of course, if you want to reach out to us, he's at Anthony Hotels. I'm at Traveling Glenn.
What's your favorite holiday?
Thanksgiving. How about you?
Easter, Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I love Thanksgiving because it's American. It's not religious. But what I like about it is you get that Thursday and then you have that Friday off as well. It's a real long weekend. It's a good chance to connect with people and all that. But I do love the last week of the year between Christmas and New Year's because nothing happens and it's super casual.
What's your favorite day of the week outside of Saturday and Sunday?
Thursday.
Why?
Because Friday is the next day, and by Friday night and stuff like that, I'm already panicking that the weekend's going to be over. Thursday, it's like, oh, it's all coming.
It's interesting. My career in the last 10 years, I don't look at my life in weekends and weekdays.
Yep.
Like, I don't even know when there's a weekend or a weekday. It's just the way my life has been.
Yep.
Because it's so like there's days where I don't work really a lot, and there's days, weeks, months I work a lot, and it's just like my schedule isn't on a Monday through Friday basis. So I kind of lost there's many times where people say, what day of the week it is, and let's start with what month it is.
Yeah, totally. I think it's really funny. I work 7 days a week pretty much anyway. I don't know why I care about weekends and all that, but non-broadcast days are a little bit easier. All right, let's get out of here. Remember, you've got one life, so blaze on and
be kind to yourself.
See you tomorrow.